I'm here with Kathy again, and we're gonna do a monogram on a sweatshirt. What is that called?
This is the interlace font.
Okay, it's really pretty.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We enjoy it. It's very popular, and it comes with the uppercase letters and the lowercase letters. And in this example, the uppercase letter is the H in the center, and the lowercase letters are the L and the C on the right and left sides. And you can interchange those. Some ladies like to use all the lowercase straight across. The uppercase letters each come with a little swirl on the top and bottom corners, and it's really pretty. You can overlap. Some ladies like to put the last name on top of the first and middle or maiden name, and some like to put the uppercase, the center letter first, and then overlap the first name and the middle or maiden name.
So we got lots of choices, right? Yep. So you can decide whichever way you want to position those fonts.
That's right. It's just personal preference.
It is, right? And make it just how you want it to be. I'm going to get to use it for a travel sweatshirt. It's a big one. We've got a nice big comfy sweatshirt, and we chose my initials. So I'm so excited. I'm going to get to take that home with me.
You actually have a beautiful monogram.
I know, I do. I have been told that, but it's true. Some different letters look a little bit different.
They do, and that's why we have over 200 fonts to choose from, and many of them are monogram fonts, and you just pick the ones that you like the letters suited for you the best.
If you don't like yours, then maybe you can do a cousin or a daughter or a friend.
That's right.
I'm sure they'll love you even more if you bring them a nice little gift like this.
That's right.
I have a couple of things here that I want to show you that I'm going to use. Number one, I'm going to use a no-show mesh that is fusible. Anytime you embroidery on a knit fabric, you definitely want to use that no-show mesh fusible, because the knit fibers are going to wiggle around on you if you don't use that appropriate stabilizer. Okay, so I've already taken some of the stabilizer and fused it onto the bottom of my sweatshirt, the part that I'm going to be embroidering, and I did enough to where I'm going to have about an inch all the way outside of the hoop whenever I hoop it, and that's just going to give you more stability. And the second thing that we're going to use today is the Heat Be Gone. Since it's a sweatshirt and it's got a little bit of a, where you press on it, it's got a little bit of a pile, I'm just going to go ahead and use this Heat Be Gone and actually put that on top of my sweatshirt before I start stitching it. But first we'll go ahead and start getting this project hooped. I have my 5x7 frame, and I went ahead and pulled out my grid that comes with my, my Baby Lock Journey, the one that I'm going to be using today. This is my 5x7 frame that fits this 5x7 frame, the grid and the frame. So I've marked a center part on my sweatshirt right here. And one of the things that I'm going to do first before I hoop it, kind of just a quick tip that might make it a little bit easier on you, is to decide how much you need to loosen that frame before you actually hoop it. And what I do is I'll take whatever I'm hooping and I'll fold it in half. So that's to me about a little less than 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and eye my frame and loosen it to where I see approximately that amount of space in that lower right hand corner, and that'll be a starting point for me. It's not going to be exactly right, but it's just going to keep me from having to tighten or loosen a whole lot when I get ready to put that frame in. So now I'm going to take my base frame and put it underneath my sweatshirt, and then I'll take my top frame and slip it in there and start getting myself an ideal of where I need to be with a frame. I'm just going to kind of eye the distance across with my little hash mark and at the top. So the way I have it right now, I need to scoot that frame up some. So we're just kind of getting it approximately where we want it now. And the grid has ABC letters, so you just want to make sure when you slip that in, it's reading it upright. And there's little slots on each side that actually slip onto the little tab marks that are inside the frame itself. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of start slipping in the top of that frame, and then I'll be able to push in the bottom. But I still know that I'm not exactly right, so I want to continue to just position my hoop to where I'm more accurate there, because you don't want to stretch it either. You don't want to stretch especially your knit. You want to get it to where it needs to be without having to put pressure on the fabric when you're hooping. Okay, after a little bit of wiggling it around and getting my visual right there, I have it to where it slips in. And it's really nice if you can to get the toe of the foot, the toe of the hoop. We'll call this the toe and we'll kind of call this the heel. So instead of pushing with your fingertips when you're hooping, it's really good if you can just use the palm of your hand to slip that in and then the palm of your hand to slip the bottom. Because sometimes your hands, you know, they get a little weak, your fingers do, but if you use the palm of your hand, that makes it a little bit easier. All right, so we have that in place. I'm happy with that. So now we're going to go ahead and get ready to do our monogram. Snug up your frame. If you need to, go ahead and snug it up because you do want it to be snug. Alrighty, I'm happy with that. Okay, we're at our embroidery machine now. We have it hooped properly, and I just want to go ahead and mention that the sweatshirt is actually turned wrong side out, and the bulk of the fabric is hooped to the left of the frame because my embroidery machine on my arm here, it's going to slide in on the left. So I want the bulk of whatever I'm embroidering to hang off to the left. So we're going to go ahead and slide the arm of the frame and clamp it down. And I'll just open up my sweatshirt. There's some things that you can use. There's embroidery tape that you can use that's really helpful to actually keep the bulk of your pieces kind of taped down, so you can kind of look into that. So now we'll go ahead. I took the time to use my grid and hoop the sweatshirt. So I'm really happy with where my crosshatch is as opposed to the center of the embroidery unit itself. So I'm going to go into Embroidery Edit, choose my USB icon, choose my design, and touch Set and Embroidery. And my machine gives me the ability to apply a basting stitch by touching my little icon with the flower in the middle. So I'm going to choose my basting stitch, and that's going to give me the opportunity to stitch down my topping that I'm going to put on top of it before I actually do my monogram. And this is the Heat Be Gone. Has the little bumpy knobs on it. So the little bumpy knobs are going to be down on your project. So there's my little bumpy knobs. I'm going to lay that in my hoop. It just makes a much prettier monogram when you're monogramming on fabric that has a bit of a height and a pile to it. So you'll just get a much better outcome. So we'll lay that in the middle. I'm going to lower my presser foot, and the first thing that is going to stitch is that basting stitch. I'm just going to loosely just kind of monitor my fabric. Being really careful. No, don't get your fingers in there. Many people have done that. I don't want you to hurt yourself. Okay, so now when it's embroidering, I don't have to worry about keeping that topping secure. That basting stitch is going to secure it for me. So now we're going to go ahead and stitch our monogram. I've used the interlace monogram. My machine actually tells me how long it's going to take, so I use my initials. My last name starts with a H. I like to use my maiden initial for my last initial, and then my first initial is L. So I have LHC, and it's going to take 31 minutes to stitch my monogram. Okay, we just finished our design. I wanted to kind of show you a tape that I use whenever I have fabric like this that I might want to keep out of my way. It's just an embroidery tape that's going to be able to tape to the top of your material, and then just take it underneath the object and get it stuck on the side of your frame, and that'll just be a little bit of an extra hand for you whenever you need it. And we're going to go ahead and, well, I'll just peel the tape off now because we're through with it. Slide the hook out. Probably easier if you'll grab it from the back side and pull it forward. And then our topping here, we're going to be able to just pull a lot of that off. Have that basting stitch on there. I'm going to go ahead and loosen my basting stitch, and it pulls out really easy because the basting stitch is very loose. It's really good keeping our topping in place, and we didn't have to stick our hands in there. And I'll just go to the back side and grab the bobbin thread. I'm going to clean that off of there. And you can just pull the topping off. It is a heat be gone type of topping. So whatever I have left over, I'll take the tip of my iron and just dab it in those little places, and it'll take the rest of it off. But really most of the time when I do large things like this, you're able to just perforate it out of there. But you have what you need left underneath the stitching, so it still raises up and looks really nice. And then whatever little long threads I have, I'm going to just put those away. Clean it up a little bit. And then this area right here is really small, and this one right here, so I'll just go take it to my iron and just use the tip of that iron to get those pieces out. Loosen up the hoop just a little bit and we'll pop it out. And I use a friction pin in the middle, so we'll be able to just press that away. The very last thing you're going to want to do is go to the back of your embroidery, and you're going to want to peel up the excess of your Cutaway fusible stabilizer. But what you'll find that when you do that, it'll be kind of hard to take up. If you go to your iron and do a bit of a press on the back side of it, it'll just loosen that stabilizer up to where it'll be very easy to pull it off the back. And then you can very carefully go in, and I'll go ahead and change back to my duckbill scissors, because this will help me make sure I don't cut that sweatshirt. And you're going to want to trim away the excess of the stabilizer, because you don't want to leave that all underneath your project. Okay, now you can see where I've taken and cut away most of the Cutaway fusible stabilizer. I have a little piece left over right here. These are a pair of scissors that I like to use. They do have a tip on them, but they're curved. They're not sharp, a little sharp, but a little bit rounded. So I also want to be careful as I go not to grab the fabric and cut that my sweatshirt or my base fabric. But I went ahead and I'll just use the tip to just kind of get it started underneath there. And then I'll just go ahead and trim around all of those inside detailed places. I take little snips as I go, and I have my left hand underneath the fabric, so as I'm cutting, I'm kind of feeling the back of the curved part of the scissors on my hand underneath the fabric. And as you go around, just be careful not to cut your stitching. And there you go. Now that we've trimmed away all of that stabilizer, as you wash it and wear it, you're going to have a more pliable look on the front side of the garment. So let me just switch over for you. And so here's the front. You'll notice how it's going to move with me as I move and when I wear my shirt. There you go.